Hi, I'm Nikki from Teaching Autism and welcome to the Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Are you an autism or special education professional? Are you a teacher or therapist looking for support and new ideas? You may even be a parent, family member or carer. This podcast is perfect to help you find out more information, support and get some of your questions answered. Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode on my Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. If you have a spare minute today after this episode, I would so appreciate you taking the time to leave me a super quick review on this podcast so that I know if I'm giving you the best content possible. Today on the podcast, I am talking about classroom schedules because some of the most common questions I get are, what should my special education classroom schedule look like? Do you have an example of yours? Can I see a copy of yours? And I can't begin to tell you how often I get sent those questions through my emails and social medias. And I would say on average, it's more than 3 times a day. I usually try to reply to as many of these as possible, but that can be so difficult some days when I get so many messages to look through. So I decided to make this blog post sharing an example of one of my days in the classroom for you to see and adapt. Today, I'm going to share an example of a Monday so you can get an overview of what the day looks like for us. Of course, things are similar on the other days, but things do change as well. So on a Monday between 9 and 9:30, we have registration, greeting and assembly. When the students arrive, I have 2 members of staff greet them at the door. Students are brought to our classroom door every morning. The students take off their coats, bags and hang these up, and 1 member of staff will go through and take out our homeschool communication books and the students' drinks, snacks, lunch boxes, medication, anything like that, while the other member of staff greets the student and directs them into the classroom. In the classroom, the rest of the members of staff are sat down at the table with a ready prepared breakfast. Students come in and are directed to sit down for this, and we use this for our registration. Students will check in using their photos on a board that's passed around and then answer a question of the day, like, do you prefer dogs or cats? It's just a quick and fun question of the day activity to get them working on their question and answering skills. Breakfast usually consists of toast with a choice of butter or jam, crackers, fruit, and something new to try every week, like a croissant, a bagel, a pancake. There's no pressure for students to try it, but we do encourage our staff to join in with breakfast and set that example of eating and trying new foods. When the students have finished their breakfast, they can go off and have their choice time, while one student does the cleaning up with a member of staff. Once this is cleaned up, we have our greeting. Our greeting is done in front of the interactive whiteboard, and the greeting is an interactive PowerPoint slideshow where students will check themselves in, tell us how they're feeling, have a brain break song, count how many students are in, what the weather's like, and it lasts around 10 minutes. On Mondays and Fridays, we have assembly. So once our greeting is finished, our students get to have a few minutes choice before heading into the hall for assembly. Assembly is sing and sign. So students can get up and dance to the songs, they can sign, they can sing, and it usually lasts 5 to 10 minutes the most, and then we head back to class. Back in class, the students are now going to sit down for some one-to-one work. My students' work files are set up at their one-to-one workstations ready, and members of staff will sit with the students and work through their morning book and then a few activities from their adapted work folders. I don't have enough staff for every student to have one-to-one at the same time, so I'll have 4 students working with a member of staff each, while the other 3 students have choice with 2 members of staff overseeing. Once the students have finished their work, the other students will switch with them so that we rotate through it. Work lasts 3 to 5 minutes depending on students' abilities. At 9:45, we have our speech sessions. Now, we run speech sessions in the classroom, and the speech therapist will create a list of targets for the students, and then we incorporate these into group activities. The class is split into 2 groups. I'll take the higher ability students, and another member of staff will take the lower ability students. Then the rest of the staff will support us in those groups. These are group speech sessions which get our students used to sitting down, taking turns, working on their targets, and the students will have a member of staff sat between them to help them stay on task. There's a visual schedule included so students know what's happening when and how long they have left. This usually lasts 10 to 20 minutes. When students are finished, they get choice and then change for PE. At 10:10, we have PE in the hall, which is physical education. All the members of staff will accompany them and work with the students, and this session is run by an external physical education professional. 10:20 is playtime, so I'll have 2 members of staff go outside with the students and the rest of the staff go on their break. At 11:20, the 2 members of staff who were outside with the students will fetch them in and then go on break for 20 minutes. The students will come in, sit, have a quick snack and drink, clean their hands, and then we get started on our rotation stations. 1 member of staff will work on a craft with the students on a one-to-one basis, rotating through all the students. Another member of staff will work on a literacy activity, again on that one-to-one rotating basis, and the rest of the staff will watch the remaining students. They'll have choice or we'll set up little areas like games and things where staff can get involved with them as well. At 11:30, we split the class into 2 again. 4 members of staff will go to the multi-sensory room with students for them to have some relaxing time, while myself and another member of staff will remain in the classroom with 2 students. This is our chance to work on a one-to-one basis with the students in a quiet classroom with no distractions. And this time is used to work on IEP targets, any assessments, anything that we really think the students need to work on. 12 o'clock comes and this is lunchtime. Staff will sit with the students on the lunch table and help them with their eating skills. 12:30 is playtime. So what usually happens is once the students have finished eating, we wipe down the table, take up our dishes, then head back to the classroom for some toileting, washing our hands and getting ready to go outside to play. Playtime is 12:30 and the same 2 members of staff who were on playtime duty this morning will go out again. I change playtime duties every day and the rest of the staff will go on break for 30 minutes. At 1 o'clock, the 2 members of staff will fetch the students back into the classroom. Then they'll go on their 30-minute lunch break. The students come in and will sit down for an afternoon interactive greeting session, just like this morning, just working on different skills like months and seasons. This is also a great time for us to check if any students need some toileting, washing their hands or anything like that. Then it's time for rotation activities again. So 1 member of staff will have a hidden letters or number sensory tray, another will have a craft or a fine motor skills activity, and they will work with the students on a one-to-one basis again. The other members of staff will watch the students who are having choice, and this is again time for them to join in with play, reading and building relationships. If activities are finished early, we'll also pull out some fine motor toys or games for the students to rotate through with staff. At 2 o'clock, the 2 members of staff who have not been out on play duty today will go outside with the students. The other members of staff stay inside and clean up the classroom and prepare for snack. Snack time is 2:30. The students will sit and have snack with a drink, and snack usually consists of toast with butter or jam, crackers, fruit or a biscuit. This is also a time used for communication and for students to start to decompress. At 2:50, we'll start our end of day routine. 2 members of staff will do the toileting, brushing teeth, washing faces with our students one at a time, while 1 member of staff will fill in our homeschool communication books, pack the bags and get ready for the students to go home. The rest of the staff will sit with the remaining students at the interactive whiteboard. Students will watch songs, stories being read, and then at 3:15 we put the goodbye songs on YouTube. 2 members of staff will go to the door and will call the students when they're ready to be collected and sent home. Now, as I said earlier, this was an example of a Monday. There's also some adaptations that we make throughout the week because each day has a similar layout except for a few differences. So on a Wednesday in the autumn, winter and spring, we go out every Wednesday morning for a class trip. but in the summer, on a Wednesday, we have a full day trip. Thursdays are Therapy Thursdays, and I'll link in the show notes for you to find out more about that. And Fridays also differ. In the spring and summer, we go swimming on a Friday morning, and in the autumn and winter, we go to a soft play area. Friday afternoons are more laid back. We have sensory play, enterprise, and craft time. If you want to find out more about how to manage and run your classroom, you can check out the online training that we offer, and I'll link that in the show notes today. I also talk more about our weekly schedule, planning, staff management, and so much more. And not only do I provide you with the information, the help, and the support, but I also give you a huge amount of resources to get you started too. I hope you found this podcast episode today helpful. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to add, be sure to head on over to the show notes and let me know. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon.